topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Donna Campbell coming to you live from sunny South Florida. It is Real Estate Dreams and Beyond. We are on every Monday at 3 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome my co-host, Jennifer Fanning from Waterstone Mortgage. Hi, Jen.
Hey, Donna. How are you? I feel like we haven't seen each other in a while.
You know, we had a break for the holiday, right?
Yeah, it was good, though. It was good. It was a much-needed break.
Yes, it definitely was.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking a lot about mortgages today with Jen. And we also have our lovely Lucia Corral from LC's Credit Solutions. Hi, Lucia.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
How's everybody doing this beautiful Monday?
Yeah, we're doing great.
I love it.
And her counterpart and Vice President of LC's Credit Solution, Jeff Enos, is also.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Hello, how are you, Jeff?
We're doing great. We missed you. We were down in Texas last weekend, but we definitely missed being here.
We missed
a lot going on.
For sure. So today's show is about the Live Local Act. And for those of you who aren't aware, we do have free down payment assistance coming up. Well, did your mother ever tell you that nothing's for free? This kind of is, you know, you do have to pay it back, but at 0% interest, right, Jen, for the life of the loan.
That's correct. It costs nothing.
We are going to be talking a lot about that, but I would just like to kick off the show with a little bit of a market update on where we currently are here in Palm Beach County. We currently have 26,802 listings that are active on the market. And that is between single family homes, condos, townhomes, condo hotels, however you want to put it together. We also have out of that 8,198 pending contracts right now, and 7,026 that are active under contract. You may want to know, what's the difference between pending and active under contract? Well, active under contract means that they're still open for backup offers in the event that this one falls through. So very smart move by real estate agents. You know, you're not shutting yourself off. When you're doing that, you can keep it flowing into you. And that's kind of where we're at right now, with an average home price of a single family at $575,000. So there's a lot of major factors impacting Florida real estate right now. Impacting real estate around the country is what I'm going to go with, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, so the crazy thing is earlier in the year, all the economists were saying, oh, by the beginning of Q1, interest rates should be down. I remember hearing some of them predicting 5.5%. And, you know, we were all like, yes, we just got to hold on until, you know, April, you know, March, April, then things are going to really start looking better. And we started seeing like this downward, you know, where things were coming down. They never made it to 5.5% to let anybody lie to you. But then we saw over the last few weeks, the market kind of shift back up interest rate wise. And consumers, matter of fact, I was speaking to a customer this morning who was under contract a month ago with another lender and was getting, you know, 6.25% on the interest rate, which, yep, that's what I had a month ago as well. And then we were discussing different loan options today. And at first he didn't want to use the Live Local. And I'm like, but it's better. The interest rate is better. And I shared some of the key things as to why it was better and why he should take advantage if he's a first-time buyer. And, reality is when I go out even to Freddie Mac's website to find out what the base rate is. Okay. Base rate nationwide for Freddie Mac is 6.79%. So that's just the base rate. That's
nothing.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
not the banks adding that they have to make money on top of that. Right? That's what Freddie Mac is giving that money away for.
Right. Yeah.
So, so the banks, it costs money to do business. And of course, they're passing that on to the consumer. So, but that is the base rate. So that means they go up from there.
Yeah.
that is.
Go ahead, Jeff.
It's going to be an interesting next couple. It's going to be an interesting next couple months. For all the way around. I mean, in real estate now with the debt ceiling, what's that coming to? What are you feeling out there in the market?
Well, all we hear on the news every night is we're working on the debt ceiling. We're working on the debt ceiling. We're coming to agreement on the debt ceiling. And what that does is create anxiety.
Panic.
Yeah, it's fear, everything else, because people start worrying. So when you talk about FHA, VA loans, give me some more, Jen, that are government backed.
USDA is government backed. Yep.
So government backed mortgages, right? The government is confused on the debt ceiling, right?
Correct. The government doesn't know if they're
happening.
Right. Government doesn't know if they're defaulting on their debt. So then investors, where they have this chunk of money, they're like, let's see, stock market or the mortgage bond market. Heck with the mortgage bond market, because the mortgage bond market looks like it's a hot mess because half of that is governed by the federal government, who's saying, I don't know, we might default on some of our foreign, debt that we have. So as an investor, those investors were like, not happening. So then the bond market goes down, which makes interest rates go up.
Absolutely.
A pretty simple, reaction to an action.
We're going to start advertising at the White House. Well, do you default on those foreign loans? We'll fix the credit.
Yeah. You should. Fix the nation's credit. I think the nation has more problems than credit.
$31.4 trillion. And we want to set it back. We'll talk about it January 2025.
Wow.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I was trying to pull up before the show, and the world is still spinning because it must be confusing for the computer right now, but I wanted to see how many of the 26,802 listings have been on the market for more than 90 days.
Oh, that would be interesting to know.
And my computer's still spinning on that question. So there are some things that are still moving fast. For example, land. Okay. Last Thursday, I had a piece of land come on that I've had somebody looking at land for 2 years. So 20 acres listed for like $784,000, I believe. And my client's just like, oh, I'm going to wait. Let's wait till Monday or Tuesday. Because I said, can you go today? Because when I seen it and I seen the location of it, I was like, it's not going to last, right?
And it was sure enough, was it developed or no?
No.
The land?
No.
Okay.
Basically what it is, it's cleared land with a really nice barn on it, and it's set up for agriculture. We're trying to do a wedding venue is what we're trying to buy land for.
Okay.
And in 4 days it was under contract. So it wasn't there for us to go see on Monday or Tuesday. However, I have several listings, commercial land that's sitting, even though we got some activity, and I'll share something about that with you in a little bit later. But some of this has to do with, even though prices have went up, we still have some unrealistic sellers that are making up prices. And, most agents try to support the belief of what their seller wants. But sometimes that proves to be very, very difficult in getting this ridiculous number had somebody call me the other day and he goes, I think my house is for sure going to sell this month. And I'm like,
Not at that price, it's not.
we've been on the market for a while. Did the genie come in and tell you, or,
Now, how much did the appraisal affect my loan and affect what I want for my home?
100%.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
for instance, last week I had a client under contract and the appraisal came in 20,000 below. The listing agent on that property swore at me, said, this is ridiculous. I'm just relisting the property. I said, well, aren't you even going to talk to your client to find out like what they want to do? You just like call and I'm like, hey, 20,000 below, don't know if everybody's going to want to negotiate, what people are going to want to do, just presenting it to everybody. Here's the facts. Now real estate agents figure out what is happening here. And he was pissed off that it didn't appraise. And like, what do you do? So then my clients then had to choose, because ultimately the sellers did say, no, we absolutely want that price for our property. We think it's worth it. And so my clients chose to walk away because they would had to have come up with an additional $20,000 in cash, and the entire place needed to be completely remodeled. So when you added that they were coming up with $20,000 more in cash, plus they needed a good $70,000 worth of remodel, then if you add that together and add that on top of what that property was costing, there's no way they ever would have recuperated that money, even had they have stayed in the property 5 to 7 years.
wow.
And so I did the math for them and I'm like, not to be a Molly Downer, but if this needs 70,000, you're going to pay 20,000 over the value. Where does that leave you? How long do you have to stay in that property in order to get that money out? If everybody's projections of how much values will go up, are correct. So
you start being way behind the curve, $20,000 behind the curve.
Right, exactly. And when the market was super, super hot, and
Which was
values
last spring.
Correct. So last spring, when the market was so hot and everybody was paying those appraisal gaps, that then I was telling everybody, listen, you're going to make up for this in probably 6 months. And they did.
Yeah.
Because the market just, every house that sold was higher is what was happening in the market. And so sure enough, within 6 months, they had made up that gap and it wasn't a big deal. But we're seeing much slower growth now.
Yes, we are. And, but it's the cycle. And
100%.
it will work itself out.
And it's actually a good thing that we're seeing less growth now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bringing those prices down to more of a realistic set.
Well, it's not bringing them down. It's just making it to where the people that are trying to jump into the market are jumping into the market, and where the prices were a month ago, 2 months down the road, they're still fairly the same. Whereas last spring, they jump in the market in January. By March, it was like $60,000 more for the house they wanted back in January. So it makes it less crazy feeling, especially for first-time home buyers, when you're looking at what you can and cannot afford, when the values of homes are not going up so quickly.
And
So question, what do we anticipate, or what would you anticipate to happen like with the rental market in our area with the new Live Local Florida, the Live Local Florida Act that's being released in July? Do you anticipate that to fluctuate the rental prices as well?
Well, it could, but here's the deal. Even though we have this amazing program, we have a lack of supply to support the program. Okay.
Yes.
So most people that are going to want to go out and buy a new home that are first time buyers are really probably getting qualified for $300,000 to $400,000. And then there's how many homes do we have that are that price, right? So we do see a lot of new construction going on for condominium apartment type things for sale, right?
Mhm.
Which will bring some extras to the market. But I don't know. I think that the rental market has changed a little bit, Lucia. I went out and showed 7 rentals last week. I showed a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome with a garage in Coral Springs for, want to guess how much?
450,000. Oh, wait, it was a rental.
Renting.
3,800 a month.
$2,700.
2,700.
$2,700.
That's
I
reasonable.
showed 3 homes in Boynton Beach,
Mhm.
3-bedroom, 2 baths with garages, all under $3,000.
Wow.
Wow. So
Okay.
3,000 and below. Okay.
So let me tell you, I have a buyer that is looking like her max is 400,000.
Mhm.
She doesn't like the payment at 400,000 because it's over 3,000 a month.
See, there you go.
By the time you add in insurance, and I'm being fairly conservative with the insurance, depending on the roof and stuff, it could be potentially more, and I'm only calculating taxes at 1%, which they probably are at that now, but they'll go up, I'm saying, in the next year and a half for them to the purchase price. So yeah, that's a tough sell.
Yeah. And, when you throw a number out there like that,
Right. And that's because
it's becoming more manageable to rent.
Right. And it's because of the interest rates. So, my client, she's like, well, I feel more comfortable with a mortgage payment around 2,800 a month. And I said, well, then you really need to be looking in the $320,000 price range, which there's significantly less available. And then that throws her into like the villa market where she can get a 3-2 villa for that. But then the HOA is $400 a month. So it's kind of this funny, circular thing that's kind of happening for those first time buyers. So I think that this program is going to help the people who currently have really high rent. The people who have low rent right now, I think it's going to be a hard sell.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I just pulled rentals this is from Fort Lauderdale all the way up to Port St. Lucie.
Yep.
Okay. And I plugged in 3,000 as the number.
Okay.
Let me make sure I'm right. I'm not saying something wrong here. We have 749 listings under $3,000 a month. And these are all either villas or single family homes.
Wow.
So yes,
Right.
That's what it's under. That is not condos. So that is so much better than what we had seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
To me, what about you guys? What do you think? Does that look better?
I think it's significantly better.
Last year, I couldn't touch a rental that was 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That didn't seem like under $3,500.
Correct.
No.
Correct. And so
there was no like line of sight to say that it was getting better. And it's finally kind of like there's like a couple rays of sunshine coming through that it's trending in the opposite direction, or at least going to stay status quo.
Yes.
Right.
When I seen the 3, 2.5 with the garage, I was like, oh, this is a good price. And these were newer townhomes. It wasn't
nice,
junk, if you will. So.
Right. Well, and like I have a client right now who their rent is $3,400 because they rented last year, a year. So now their rent is coming, their contract is expiring with their landlord. So for them, like I quoted this Live Local first time home buyer program, and it ends up being the same payment to own as to buy because they've saved 20% to put down. So for the people who have 20% to put down, it makes a big difference in the payment versus the person who has minimal and can only put that 3% or 3.5% down. Makes a big difference.
That makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jen, let me ask you, and as far as credit scores goes, are you seeing like the FHA still taking around 580 FICO for that? And then like going into the Fannie Mae's like more like a 620?
So Fannie Mae says they have a 620. I have yet to have a DU approval for someone with a 620 credit score. Matter of fact, I would say off the top of my head, 660 is probably in reality what the automated underwriting system gives you a yes for.
Okay.
I think maybe once have I had an approval for a really low credit score, and it was because they were putting 50% down.
Well, Jen, how does that apply with the Live Local Act and the minimum credit score being 640 for that?
Yeah, so to be honest, I think that the majority of people I see are either very close to that 640 or over that 640. So that is a good thing. So the 640, I think, is actually a pretty low credit score for a program like this. Some of the other programs I've worked with in the past, you needed a 660 or higher in order to qualify. So this is a very good, 640. You can have like a few blemishes here and there. You don't have to have perfect credit. So I think that it's very reasonable, because to be quite honest, like someone in our office did a loan for a veteran who had 580 credit, and within 4 months he defaulted on the loan. And so now we're stuck with this situation where the client didn't even make 6 payments. And so they're actually pulling my coworker's commission away from him, because that's how it works. If people default within 6 months, they take our commissions.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's an industry standard. That's not just Waterstone Mortgage. That's an industry standard. And so
I'm glad I'm in the real estate business then. That's
the risk. That is why we have that credit rating. It's a risk assessment. I tell most of our clients that I actually get to talk to, I let them know that this is your financial resume. The higher your score says, there's a better chance that you will pay me back.
Yep.
And it's amazing to find out, like, the reality versus what people think is completely skewed.
Right. And what's your guys' like, what would you say the average credit score is that comes to you? How low of a score do you normally, like, what's the highest score you've ever seen come to you and be like, I need help?
So I do have some that come to me that, maybe have a couple of inquiries that they want to get removed from their credit profile. They're probably at a 720 and they want to see if they can increase their score a little bit higher, maybe a little bit of recommendation. And usually it is something as simple as paying down their credit card debt, right? Yeah. Which a lot of people do not know as a consumer, that credit utilization is the second biggest factor of our credit score. It can make up more than 165 points of our credit score. So even, 30%, which is usually recommended to keep their credit utilization at, can have about 50 to 80 points attached to that. So paying down that debt can help them increase that score as well.
Right. And then what would you say? So, what should someone have? Like, typically, are you seeing that people need to pay off 5,000, 10,000? Like, I know when I go and pull credit, it'll give me like a what if scenario. And the what if scenario, though, is on the basis that they have 10,000 extra dollars. And I'm like, well, half the people that don't have great credit don't have 10,000 extra dollars hanging around, in order to pay things down. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely see that sometimes, like, especially in a married couple, I see that usually one of the partners has, all the debt on their credit profile, and maybe one of the other partners has significant decent credit, right? So what they can do is they could piggyback off of each other. Let's say there's some credit cards. If the partner has $5,000 to $10,000 worth of credit limit that the other partner is not on, they can add them as an authorized user and alleviate some of that utilization on the other partner.
Right. Oh, that's smart. Mm-hmm. I need a partner.
So partner in crime.
Actually, that is not a call out for a call.
The phone lines are going to blow up now.
I don't know. You know what? My phone's ringing for you, Donna.
There's always a funny joke in the credit industry that is going around about a significant other, right? That if you break it down, it's sign if I can't, right? So that's definitely good to have.
As far as credit score that I see coming through the door, I think because of our base client is more of, we get most of our clients from lenders, real estate agents. So people kind of usually walk through your door when they're close. So I would say we don't get too many of the 400 credit scores, even though we do see them. Most of our people, they come with between the 540 range. And then they want us to get them to 680 and 700 within a couple days of starting with us. So that always they want that super fast turnaround. But I think that's one of the biggest factors going to be paying down credit cards. I think most of our clients don't realize how detrimental. I mean, that's 30% of your entire score, which is probably 165 points. Am I right, Lucy? Mm-hmm. So it's 165 points. If you're at a 540, 165 points will get you to goal. But it's paying down those credit cards and then not using them. So we've noticed that people's financial habits come from, we've all been there, where we rely on our credit cards as a rotation of our liquid cash. So we pay with the credit card and then we pay with the cash. And the longer that gap, the wider that gap gets, the harder it is for them to actually go back and pay it down and then not use it because they're so dependent on that extra cash. So we'll get a score that will jump up maybe 80 points. We'll get them into the 620 range, and then they'll go back to using the credit cards they just paid down, bringing them back down, and then it's disheartening for them as well.
So I have a question. So I have a client that that had a huge collection, like $10,000 collection, and I told him, I said, you have to do something with this. Yes, your credit score qualifies you to go FHA, and yes, I got a DU approval, but I know when a person sees this, they're going to ask about the debt because FHA is $2,000, or less. They don't care about anything over $2,000. They want to know what's going on with it. So I told him, because he has, $80,000 in the bank. I'm like, just call them, negotiate it down, and pay it and be done. Well, he didn't take my advice. He called them, yes. He negotiated, yes, but he negotiated a payment of like $260, $280 a month. So is that going to help his credit score at all, or what happens then?
So when you make a payment on a collection account, you actually reset the clock from how long that file can actually be reporting to your credit profile. Oh, right. Lord. So that is definitely one of the things that a lot of consumers make mistakes on. They call the credit or the credit company or the collection agency, and they start a payment plan. Well, that resets the clock, and now they have another 7 years that they can, put that credit account on their file. Now, what we usually recommend doing is if anyone is wanting to settle an account that's in collections, is we offer what we call a pay per delete contract. Okay. The only time we want someone paying anything that's in collections, if the creditor has agreed to a pay per delete contract. Once that account is paid, then it gets eliminated from the credit report.
And that was my recommendation to him, was to negotiate that, or call you guys. I gave him your number, or to call you guys to negotiate that for him. But
yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, and that pay per delete is so important, because especially when it comes to something like that, if it's already in collections and it's already been a charge off, if you go ahead and pay that, the companies, the credit bureaus and the creditors aren't obligated to remove that from your credit report, unless you have something in writing that says that they will. So just going ahead and throwing the money at it kind of just works backwards for you.
Right. So does it make a difference on your end as the lending, the lender, that they're on a payment plan?
Yeah, because it changes his debt to income ratio. So now he's got $236 worth of more debt. So now he doesn't qualify for that $350,000 house.
Wow.
So, but like you can only guide a horse to water, right? You can't make people drink. So
Yeah.
that's where it's like, it's so important for people to really listen to, the people who work in this industry, about getting, because I told them, I said, if they won't tell you that they will remove it, do not pay it.
Do not pay it.
Play hardball. Who in your house can be mean? Let that person be on the phone.
And usually like what we do too is, and what we've noticed too is like, usually if you send in a contract, paper delete contract stating, hey, I'm sending in a payment for this amount. Usually we recommend settling for about 30 to 50% of the original balance, right? It's a pretty good settlement offer if you're able to settle on something like that. And then what you want them to do is that, in the contract, if you're sending in a payment saying, hey, this is the contract, this is the payment that I'm offering you. But in the contract, you state that if this payment or this cashier's check or this money order is cashed, then they're binded to the contract terms, right? So then it also helps. It's harder to deny a payment that's right in front of you than a contract that says that, hey, I can pay this.
Correct. That's so smart. See, people really need to utilize a credit repair. Like, sure, they can call and negotiate themselves, but no one would ever have like a contract written up and no like details like that in order to get the work done that they want done. A lot of people call and ask if they can do that, and the creditors say, no, we can't do that. And then they call me back and they're like, they said no. Now what do I do? I'm like, go to the credit repair people.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
guys,
which
I want
is
to get us back on track here for just a minute, if you don't mind. We need to jump into the nuts and bolts of the Live Local program. So I'm just going to start off with saying that on July 1st, what's the date, Jen?
Yeah, July 1st. Yep.
July 1st, free down payment assistance is rolling out to Florida for first-time home buyers or buyers who haven't owned a home in 3 years. So you may be a second-time buyer, but the deal is you just can't have had your name on a deed basically in the last 3 years. Am I right there, Jen?
Correct. And veterans. So you can be a third, fourth time home buyer. And if you're a veteran, you can utilize this program.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Oh, that's very good. No,
Wow.
That's sweet news, actually.
Yeah, so you can put 0% down using a VA loan and utilize this program to pay your closing costs. So guess how much they need to come to closing with? Nothing.
And you can get a kickback from your realtor and your mortgage company and actually get paid money at the closing table.
No.
You could.
Well, I can't use the word kickback.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That would be super illegal for me.
A credit toward closing cost. Can we use that? Credit toward closing cost.
Yeah. So actually, this program only allows up to $1,000 back at closing. So that's the maximum amount back. Is what it ends up working out to. So, but for veterans who can do the 0% down and then utilize this, typically I have to work numbers and end up putting money down towards the end, in order for them not to get too much money back.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And so the minimum credit score is
640, which is pretty doable for a lot of people.
Yes.
And the maximum income level is?
Well, that just went up, which is super beautiful. So Palm Beach County was 131,000. Now it has gone up to, let me make sure I'm getting it right here. Palm Beach County has gone up to 146,100.
Wonderful.
Which is amazing. And that's for the applicant, not household income. So
wow.
That is super, super generous.
And the max that you can purchase?
So it goes with conforming limits. So the maximum that you can finance is 726,200 for conventional. FHA,
that's still a nice house.
That's a great house. I haven't had anybody exceed that limit. And then Palm Beach County FHA limit is 557,000, I think 750 for FHA. So typically the first time home buyers are below, both of those purchase limits, which is a good
thing. That is very healthy purchase limits.
Yep, it's great. And the nice thing is there's no overlay to this. So when realtors are writing the purchase contract, they don't even have to say that the client is using Hometown Heroes.
Okay, and debt to income ratio on a FHA loan has to be what?
Below 50% for the program.
And conventional?
Conventional, they are taking whatever DU, the automated underwriting system, allows. So typically when I'm figuring numbers, I keep it right around 45% because that's kind of the industry standard. But I've seen that conventional, depending on compensating factors, could go up to like 48%, depending on, the credit worthiness, a few other factors, if they have reserves, some different things like that. So I usually try to keep it at that 45%. And there used to be a couple funky rules around debt to income ratios and credit scores, but they have lifted those.
Good. For the first time home buyer who would not be familiar with ever applying for a home loan, can you break down what debt to income ratio actually means, Jen?
Yeah. So debt to income ratio is how much you make on a monthly basis versus how much you owe creditors that show up on your credit report. Okay. So it does not include your cell phone bill. It does not include your water bill, the things that do not show up on the credit report. So whatever monthly payments show up on the credit report compared to what you make monthly. One big hang up that a lot of first-time home buyers think is that since student loans are in deferment, they think since they have a zero payment that it's zero counted against them, but it's not.
Interesting.
Yeah. So each loan program has different rules around that. So FHA says that the fake payment is 1% of the outstanding balance. And Freddie Mac says it's 0.5% of the outstanding balance. And Fannie Mae says that it's 1% of the outstanding balance. Or for all those programs, the client can go and take their student loans out of deferment and ask for an income-based payment. And they issue a letter saying this is how much your total income-based payment is. Then I can take that and make it the payment, and
I think that's important for college students who will be the next buyers, right?
Yes.
To understand, because a lot of time they become overwhelmed. Oh my God, I have $30,000 worth of student loans, right? But that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at what you're paying back each month.
Correct.
Coming into figuring out what your debt to income ratio is.
Correct. It's that payment. And I've seen, some people that like single mamas that went back to school that have a couple of children and, then they go and they apply for that income-based payment where I've legitimately seen it come back that their income-based payment is zero. And if they have a letter saying their income-based payment is zero, then I take zero. So, but we just need the letter and we need, somebody other than myself saying that it's zero. So people get a little freaked out when I'm like, okay, go take your student loans out of deferment. They're like,
What about if you're qualifying for this loan, Jen, and your family wants to give you a $10,000 down payment as a gift? Can you still qualify for the down payment assistance as well?
Yes. So this program, and the reason I love it so much is it just follows standard lending rules, standard FHA, standard conventional, lending rules, VA lending rules. So all of that gets underwritten exactly the same. The only thing that they add to those is the minimum credit score and the income limits. But other than that, it's all the same. So yes, family members could give a $10,000 gift. Matter of fact, I just closed a Hometown Heroes, which is what this program used to be, where the people were told you have 90 days to vacate. We've sold your the property that you live in. And I was like, okay, so We got to get a move on. They'd never bought a home. They were in their 50s, had always rented their whole entire lives. They didn't have enough savings to do first, last, you know what I'm saying, for the rental. So they were going to have to borrow that money from someone, you know, or gift it or something from someone else in order to rent. And so when I was talking to him, I said, why don't you have them gift that money and just buy? So the mom gifted $5,000, which is what they put down for their deposit, you know, on the home to show that they were legitimately interested in the home. And they literally closed getting close to $1,000 back. And $5,000 was all that they contributed.
Wow.
And then I think it's important to note that there are two different kinds of workers out there in the world, right? Mm-hmm. There are those who are employed with an employer and those that are self-employed.
Correct.
So when we're getting ready to qualify for this loan on self-employed, you need 2 years of tax returns?
Correct. 2 years tax returns. If they've been self-employed for longer than 5 years, I can take 1 year worth of tax returns. And
that's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we just have to be able to have some way of proving, whether it be, you know, when your LLC was started, when you established your DBA, whatever, you know, of proving that you've been in business for that length of time or longer. Yep.
Right. Yeah. And as a self-employed business owner, I hear the horror stories where, you know, everybody wants to write everything off as a self-employed.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I have a lot of conversations with self-employed people. I used to be self-employed. And part of the reason I was self-employed was because it was great to have a tax write-off, right? And so, but when it comes to lending, we look at your net income. What you actually pay taxes on is what we consider your income. Most self-employed people, when I ask them, what do you make? They tell me their gross receipts. So I never, like, when they tell me what they make over the phone, it means nothing to me. It's kind of like I hear like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 because we're not talking even the same thing. So then I get the tax returns and yep, they're right. They made that, but then they wrote off 2/3 of that. You know, there's ways that, you know, I can consult with them and say, okay, so for the following year's taxes, you need to claim XYZ amount of money and pay taxes on it, like actually pay the taxes on it in order to qualify for the home that you want to buy.
But if you're employed with an employer, right, and you're getting a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, then you need what? And how long do they have to be employed?
Well, that's subjective. So how long do you have to be employed is a little subjective. So if you just finished college and you're at your first job and you're at it for 1 day, you qualify for long. Correct. Because we'll verify what your salary is going to be, whatever, because your history of going to college is proof that you can stick with something and do a job, because that's your job was college. But we do want a 2-year work history with no gaps, ideally. If there are gaps in that 2 years, then they need to be explainable and provable. So like I had a mom who had worked her whole life, then went and had a baby, had some serious complications, and ended up taking 8 months off of work. Well, then she went back to work, and then 3 months later came to me to get a loan. And I was able to do that loan because she had previous great work history. She was able to give me a couple medical bills so that I could prove, like she had some stuff going. They didn't, underwriters don't want details as to why, but I just had to give them some sort of proof as to that she had medical stuff going on. It's reasonable. It's fair. We did the loan. It was not a big deal.
Nice.
Very nice. Are there any other key factors that a first-time home buyer might want to consider in regards to qualification for the Live Local Act that we didn't cover today?
I would just say that one thing that first-time home buyers really need to consider is that homeowners insurance is a big part of homeowners insurance, and HOAs are a big part of them qualifying.
Hold on. Okay, because I have to go off into another little tangent really quick.
Okay.
So the way to get around big homeowner insurance is obviously to buy a condo or something where you're only insuring your contents, right?
Or new construction.
Oh, or new construction. Very
or
good.
New construction is fabulous on the insurance.
But the caveat to condos, what happens, Jen, with down payments?
Oh, so if you're purchasing a condo, we have to look at the budget. The condominium budget of the HOA has to show that they have 10% of their annual budget allocated each year into reserves. If they don't, then you need 25% down.
And we will have a whole nother show on that because we are seeing mass mismanagement of condo associations. So, if I were a buyer, one of the things that I would be looking for is a professionally managed HOA versus an owner HOA. Why?
Yeah, the owner HOAs never have enough reserves.
Yeah. Because they're not really, they may have some history of being involved with numbers, but they're really not ready always to manage that. And I've seen many loans get denied because the reserves are not there. So, and you also need more down on a condo. Talk about that for a quick second.
Well, if they have enough reserves, no, you 3% down for conventional, 3.5. Well, you cannot buy FHA in a condo. Technically, you can, but only off the approved list. There's only a few.
We're going to, just forget that. You're not getting FHA on it.
You're not getting an FHA condo, correct?
Yeah.
So you can do as little as 3% down if the HOA is healthy and the budget is good.
Okay, so I just want to let everybody know that we have some exciting guests coming on to our show, and we'll want you to stay tuned in for that in the future. But some business owners that have become quite creative, because this is Real Estate Dreams and Beyond. It's not just real estate, but a lot of these have a tie-in to it. I know we didn't get to talk enough about credit today, Lucia, but are you seeing a rise on people who are needing help with credit right now?
Absolutely. I definitely think a lot of people are more interested in getting their credit repaired, especially with this new Live Local Act that is going into effect July 1st. A lot of people are starting to get prepared because now they have that extra assistance.
And you want to go ahead and let everybody know where they can get in contact with you, Lucia?
Absolutely. They can give me a call at 479-573-6206. Call us here at the office. We're more than happy to answer any questions.
Jeff, final words for you for the day. I can't believe this just goes so fast because I love you guys so much.
It does. The time just creates so much great information. No, everybody have a great week. It's just starting out. Every day's a great day for new opportunities. And pay down your credit cards, everyone. That's what's stopping you from moving forward. It's your credit card habits.
Yes. Learn to live within your means. It's sad. It's hard.
Yep. There you
go.
go.
Jen?
Yes. So to contact me, call 561-295-200. I think 5. Yeah. I never call my office.
We're here at Real Estate Dreams and Beyond. One of my favorite little sayings ever is, I don't believe in the mushroom theory. And do you know what that means?
No.
I don't believe in feeding people a bunch of shit and keeping them in the dark. We want to bring everything to light. No secrets on here about what you need to do to become a homeowner. My name is Donna Campbell. I'm the host here. Remember that we'll be back next Monday at 3 o'clock. You can reach me at 561-685-6663. And for Real Estate Dreams and Beyond and all my lovely co-hosts, we look forward to seeing you next week. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.